So good evening, everybody. I'm hoping everybody can hear me. Like Martin said, my name's Dave Priest. I'm the Regional Organizing Coordinator for Western Canada. And tonight, we're going to talk about an introduction to organizing. We're not going to get, like IVP Reed said, we're not going to get really into a whole bunch of the nuts and bolts of how things work in that. This is just a brief overview of what we can do and why we need to do it. So I think we're going to start off tonight. We have a couple of polls here to start off with, but the first poll here is does anybody know what the current IBEW membership is? And that's across North America.
Looks like we're getting some good results in. We'll give it another. Oh, we got somebody in chat. Okay.
I think John looked it up.
Yeah.
No.
So fantastic. Okay, I'm going to share the results. So the majority of you are saying 67,000. Actually, it's 67,840, but we didn't want to put that in.
677,000. Sorry, Martin.
Sorry, 677,840. And that's A members and BA members. So inside, outside, professional, industrial.
So with that being said, does anybody know what the membership in Canada is? That's just in the chat, if anybody has any quick ideas. And this is at the end of 2020.
That's pretty close. Whoever, Scott, you put that? That's close, 10%. A little high, Randy. 6701. Getting closer, Mark. Andrew, you're going the wrong way.
So the actual Canadian membership as of the end of 2020 was 62,868. So now the second poll question that we'd like to ask is, what led you to the IBEW? So did you come in as, did you apply to your local union? Was it a part of the conditions of your employment? Were you organized into membership? Or you have absolutely no idea?
Right, we've got about 50% of the individuals have done the poll so far. So we got okay, very good. I'm going to share the results. So it looks like, Dave, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. It looks like most of you had applied to your local union, which we see a lot more in construction. Which is one path for membership. Another one would be, it's part of the conditions of your employment, which if some of you are from the utility or from other, we'll get into this further, but professional industrial members. Myself, I come from ADT, so that was one of those. Or you were organized into membership. So those are all great stories about how you came in. I'm one of the ones that came in through an organizing drive for working with ADT Tyco, and that was in 2012. So I've been a member since 2012. And I'm sorry to keep going on, but we do have one more poll before we move into some other stuff. Sorry.
All right. So this one's on me. So which year was the IBEW organizing program? When did it start? And if you can answer the question, it'd be great. Okay, we're about 2/3 are saying 1975. I'll just give it we've got just about everybody has answered. All right. Okay, here's the results, and I'm going to talk about these. So the majority you picked 1975, and to be honest, that number should be 1971 and not 1975, because 1971 was when we hit the peak of our membership. We hit 1 million members in the IBEW. So the actual IBEW organizing started in 1891, but in 1991, at the time, International President J.J. Berry at the International Convention in St. Louis, Missouri, made organizing our #1 priority again. Even though it's been in our Constitution since the beginning, he reaffirmed it in 1991. And in 2003, the Membership Development Department was started. And that's where Dave and I been in our work through.
So if you look at the Membership Development Department, and for anyone who doesn't know, that is the organizing department, there are different sides, if you want it, 2 different sides, if you want to call it. So the first side, and I'll get Martin to explain his side of the house here, which is construction.
So as I introduced myself at the beginning, I'm Martin Duckworth. I work for membership development in the construction branch, which encompasses inside and outside construction. So electricians for the inside, and outside branches is power linemen. So I'm not trying to, I'm just, there are lots of individuals inside of that department. Are lots of individuals under covered employment that are not electricians or just linemen. We have different classifications, but just the highlight of that is if you're working under a covered employment in the construction branch, you're considered in the construction, whether you're inside or outside. And in our branch, we just have the district organizing coordinators in Canada. We have one in the East, which is my other tool partner, which is Bill Martindale, and he takes care of Ontario to the East Coast, and I take care of Manitoba to the West Coast, and the US border to where Fang was from, which was way up in the north there. And my tool partner, David Priest, he takes care of professional industrial, and we'll let him talk about his department.
So the professional industrial department, or P&I as it's more commonly called, and everybody loves the acronyms, but that is everything that is not construction. So that's everything from utilities, manufacturing, telecom, broadcasting, railroad, government, other groups such as like myself, I came from the alarm industry, utility line clearing. So the folks that are out there cutting the branches around the trees to make sure the power stays on, that kind of stuff. So on that side, we do, again, there are 2 ROCs, which are the regional organizing coordinators. On the professional industrial side, that we have 2 of those in Canada, myself in the West, and Rod McVicker, who is the ROC in the East. And under the ROCs, we have what are called the International Lead Organizers. And there are 2 of those, again, one in the East and one in the West, and who are Brandon Dick in British Columbia and Brett Youngberg, who is in Ontario. So let's look at the definition of the word organize. So in the chat, if you could, come up with all the different meanings or that you can think of around the word organize. Put in order, inform, gather. And these are all great answers, by the way. I'm not sure who Mary Kondo is, though.
Educate, inoculate. Fantastic.
Perfect. So when we look at the actual definition, you know, to enlist or attempt to enlist into a labor union, to organize workers. All the other, obviously, all the other answers that you've given are, you know, correct, that kind of stuff. You know, we have, you know, to systemize, to put things in order, right? So we're talking about organized organizing, we're talking about bringing people into the union. So organized labor it's a group of workers that collectively bargain to improve their working conditions and those of others. In Canada, that process is regulated by provincial and or federal labor boards, depending. And in Canada, that's what they are. And in order to form a union, it's necessary that we have the approval of the majority of the employees.
So in Canada, for most jurisdictions, it's 50% plus one. So does the objectives of the Constitution. So does everybody know what this book is? I think it's a little shiny there, but I think Dave's got a picture of it. This is the Constitution that we live by, and it gets amended every 5 years at the International Convention. The one we're working under currently right now was amended at the 39th International Convention in St. Louis, Missouri. And we have this is an international convention here, but with COVID, we're not sure how it's going to play out, but that's for another webinar. So does anybody know what the #1 objective of the IBEW is? Just in the chat. To organize all electrical workers. Perfect. Dave, you want to throw up the objectives, please? So right there, the #1 objective is to organize all workers in the entire electrical industry in the United States and Canada, including all those in public utilities and electrical manufacturers, into local unions. So why do you think that is there? Why do you think organizing is important in the chat? Why is it? So if you read some of the other ones, to be able to do those other items in their objectives, there we go. We're starting to see them now. Stronger with more numbers, correct. So if we have, if we want to improve our health and welfare plans, to secure more employment, to reduce the hours of work, have better pay, higher standards, and everything like that, without the #1 objective, which is organizing, none of that can be achieved properly. So great chat, everybody. Protect rights of the workers, exactly. All right, and as you can see by the next slides, that it is not just IBEW's objectives. It's, for most parts, the organized labor, their objectives are to organize everybody in their groups. As you can see, we have different groups, even magicians, painters, roofers, even the Screen Actors Guild. So why do you think that is important if we were to have everybody organized?
Protect our rights.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
I like John's. It's the most important part. Together we are strong, and divided we beg.
Right.
Quality.
We see that a lot these days is equality and equity, and exactly, inequality of the wage gap, especially in the unrepresented workers. So we see that a lot. We see a lot of inequity in gender. We see a lot of inequity in race and everything like that. And I'm not saying that the unions are that stamp that totally out, but for the most part, in my craft, I'm an electrician, instrument mechanic, and it doesn't matter if anybody else is an electrician, instrument mechanic working under the collective agreement. That's how much you get paid. It doesn't matter if you're male, you're female, you're black, white, whatever, you're getting paid that, and that's the equity.
So let's get into the different types of organizing. Again, there's lots of different, we're trying to keep everybody involved as much as possible. So again, in the chat, does anybody know or could tell me what are the different types of organizing?
That's right. Top down, bottom up. Sandwich. Salting. Covert.
And these are all great answers, by the way.
Drives. Yep. So let's break it down and talk about each one briefly.
So when we talk about different types of organizing, we're talking about internal, external, top down, bottom up. Now, what does all that mean? Internal organizing, it focuses on our members. It focuses on working, our members that are working under an IBEW agreement that may not have signed an application form. And it's also keeping in touch with our members. So making sure that, you know, everything is good with them, right? I think if we're keeping in touch with everyone the best we can, then you know, we make sure everybody's on the same page. If you look at external, and you look at external being there's two different types. Both if you look at top down, which is what focuses on the companies. If you go in, you're focusing on management, owners, and that kind of thing to show them the benefits of what having a union shop would be. And the other side being bottom up, which focuses on the workers. So that's going out there talking to the workers and showing them as well what the benefits of union membership are. Now to go forward, we got another poll.
So we've been talking about organizing and everything. So we're going to just ask you another poll as to how many people joined the IBEW in 2020, do you think? This is IBEW as a whole, not just Canada. All right.
Still some people waiting to answer there.
We had the Tyler in the chat saying 20,000. That would have been joined and not, that would have been in a non-COVID year. We would have seen 20,000 or more. But last year, we brought in, you're right, with 6,800. It's actually 6,812 individuals joined the IBEW. But what does that all mean? So out of the 6,800, if you really break down those numbers of how many people joined the IBEW, sure, we had 6,812 members filed for application, became members of the IBEW, were given a card number, and started paying dues to the IBEW. So why should we organize? All right, in the chat, why do we need to organize? Oh, sorry, we got, yeah, you're right, John, lots retire. Strength in numbers, correct?
You live in Alberta.
You live in Alberta. We're going to get to that right away.
Educate, market share, prevent loss, organize or die, security, absolutely.
Right. Okay. Dave? Oh, you went too far.
Sorry.
We got poll number 5.
Okay, sorry. So those are all great answers, by the way, why we need to organize. And that's exactly right. We need to maintain our market share. We need to, you know, strengthen numbers. You live in Alberta. I mean, I'll give you that one, John. But it's really, if we don't keep bringing people in, we're just going to keep losing people out the other end. So it's necessary. It's necessary to keep going. It's necessary to make sure that we have people that coming in, so that the people at the other end can retire. Moving on to our next poll here. Which province in Canada has the highest percentage of unionization?
Wow, nobody's picking Alberta. Tyler in the chat, Quebec. Chris in chat said Ontario. George said Ontario. Well, we got 75% of the individuals that are on the call. So I'm going to share the results right now. All right, Dave, this is you.
Most everybody says Ontario, it looks like. The actual highest unionization rate in Canada is Newfoundland. With where did the number go here? I have it.
38%.
38% of their workforce is union. So with that question being the, what's the highest percentage? Who had the lowest? Just in the chat, if you can throw that in there.
Yeah, and John's got his hand up. Yeah, Berta. Yeah, Alberta. Alberta is at, anybody guess what our union density is? 25%. Oh, somebody got 22. But you have to remember when we're talking union density or union rate, that's if you look at a number, aggregate number of 100. So for every 25 people out of 100, they belong to some sort of union, and that would mean that they are working under a covered employment right now. That does not mean that they are working in construction. This is as a whole. It is all sectors, not just the construction industry. So as you can see right now, we have 30 across Canada, we have 31% are under covered employment. And unfortunately, that was CLAC as well. I see Scott has got it in there. They consider CLAC in some jurisdictions a union, so they fall into that 31%. But if you look at this big red piece right here, 69% of the individuals that are eligible to work, and as you can see at the top, there's 20,258,800 individuals that are eligible, and how Stats Canada says they're eligible is they are between the age of 15 and 65, not on any sort of disability. So if you look at that big piece of pie at 31%, being the small piece of pie, as represented workers, those are anybody that is under a covered employment right now. So if you look at our collective agreements and you think about your own collective agreement, whether you're working for a utility or you're working for construction or anything like that, and you look at the gains and how hard your bargaining team works to get what you're getting when only 31% of the individuals. So 3 out of 10 people in Canada are under covered employment. So that means there's a huge amount of unrepresented workers that we have to tap, that we have the ability to tap into. Now, of course, not every one of those 69 individuals work in the electrical field or work under professional industrial that we could grab them all. I would love it if we could get 100%. But if you look at construction, the branch that I look after, some jurisdictions are less than 10%. And our members, our own rank and file members, think that, that they have a lot of pull when it comes to collective bargaining. But really, we don't have huge amount when you're looking at the demographics and how many unrepresented individuals are out there that are eating our lunch. That's why it's so important to organize.
So there's a question in the chat from Tim, who's asking, is this only electricians or workers as a whole?
No, this is workers as a whole. If we were to narrow it down provincially as to what the demographics were, we'd have to be able to get, unfortunately, we don't have those kind of stats. We do have some provinces give us the apprenticeship rates, how many people are they putting through. We also, exactly, Jim says we punch way above our weight class. So, I mean, if you're looking at this as a whole, I wish we had 31% of the electricians organized, but we do not. All right. So what would happen if we were to increase organizing or membership? I mean, say we took our membership and say we had 50% market share. I mean, some jurisdictions, they're sitting at 10% market share. And that means there's only 1 out of every 10 individuals in construction that are working as an under covered employment. There's 9 other individuals that are eating your lunch. So what would happen even if we went to, say, 50%? So I'm going to get you to, you can unmute, you can answer out loud. Yeah, Scott. Less inequality, less poverty, better collective agreements.
No clack.
No clack.
I think it would increase the quality of life for the working class.
Exactly. So,
enabled workers to finally have an active say in what our remuneration for our time spent has been, instead of someone making that decision for us.
exactly. Okay, better collective agreements, better working conditions. We would see more work. And the reason we would see more work is because we would control, if we could better control our industry. And if we can better control our industry, and especially in the construction side of it, we see a lot of contractors out there that are just starting individuals, and then the minute they go to school, they lay them off and they start me. And I call it the puppy mill, right? They start them, they go to school for the first year, maybe the second year, they become too expensive, they lay them off, and then they start that process all over again. And if we had better control of our industry, we would be able to put a stop to that, have better training, and be able to put our ratios properly, so we have properly trained individuals in the industry. What do you think about political influence? Do you think we would be able to go to the government and tell them that, you know, we need to change our industry and control our industry instead of them telling us about our industry? For sure, not with Kenny. Well, I tell you what, if we had a labor force that was 50% unionized, we would be able to, for one, we wouldn't have Kenny. So, but you're right. Perfect.
So now we can move into what's in it for you. And I know we've seen a lot of those answers here already, but and I know I've heard like even IVP Reed speaking earlier, but the question is, what's in it for you, and what's in it for you to be involved in organizing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. What changes in your life based on, like Martin was saying, if we had 50% unionization rate? And feel free to blurt out the answers.
So I'll just kick everybody off. I joined the IBEW in 1989, and I have retirement plans. I have all kinds of, I have a nice house, I have a nice secure workforce. I know that somebody has my back if I were to, if I was on the tools again and I was out there working and I didn't like the working conditions for whatever reason. I mean, not just because I don't like the working conditions, but I mean, if there was working conditions that were unsafe, I could do that. no fear, well, of repercussions if the company is in the wrong, because I have the entire union behind me.
I think you're absolutely right, John, because I'm the same as you. I mean, I worked non-union up until I was with the with ADT. So it was same thing, revolving debt. You knew that that mortgage that you had was never going to be paid off, and that kind of thing. So I mean, it's I look at it, you know, when you say what's in it for you, absolutely, that's what's in it for me, to make sure that other people have the same benefits and opportunities as I do in order to you know, make their families better and that kind of stuff. Anyone else? I was just looking in the chat here. Empower the people, louder together, stronger together. Easier to address bullying and harassment on the job site. Absolutely. And a chance to actually get ahead in life. Absolutely. Those are all great answers.
We got a future member there, Nicholas. Okay, perfect. So we have one more poll. So who do you think was the IBEW's first organizer? You're right, Erica. Perfect. I think most people know who our first president was and our first organizer, which was Henry Miller. Does anybody else know who these individuals are that are on here? Shout it out. Who's JJ Berry?
Hassan is our CLC president.
Current CLC president, correct? Does anybody know who Samuel Gompers was? Anyone? I'm hearing crickets. He was instrumental in starting the CLC. And of course, JJ Berry reaffirmed organizing as the #1 priority for IBEW. For bonus points, who knew what year it was? Nobody? Nobody? 91, come on.
We'll have to go back.
There we go.
There you go.
Thanks, Fred.
And Jim says JJ Berry signed his union card. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, JJ Berry signed my union card too.
Wow.
Perfect. Dave?
So now we get into what can you do? Now, for all those that are here that have, you know, have been organizers and worked doing that for a while, you'll know this, but for the some that don't, what can you do as a member or unrepresented worker to increase union membership or and unite and control your industry? Just in
Everybody
the chat.
here that works in construction know who their organizer is for the local? Just by a show of hands? Okay, some of you know who your organizer is. Some of you don't know who your organizer is. Mike, I sure hope you know who your organizers are. Perfect. So get to know your organizer.
So I'm just reading some of the comments here. Get out there and talk to people. Absolutely. Positive conversations, networking, speak up, stand up, show up. Those are all great answers. And that's a great place to start. Absolutely.
Exactly, Dana. We're all organizers. I think one of the worst things we can do is talk to unrepresented workers in a negative way. We need to stop. If we're trying to organize people into our organization, we need to stop calling individuals names. And I stopped calling them non-union workers, and I just started calling them unrepresented workers, because we're all workers. Now there's non-union shops and there's union shops, but there's only workers, and either you're under covered employment or you're not. So, okay.
So absolutely. So there's, I mean, multiple different ways that you can get involved. There's training courses, which you can see some of that stuff going on here. Local union meetings, which Martin had mentioned. Find out if your local union organizer gives monthly updates on what's going on. Get to know that person, provide information to your local union organizer or the international organizers like myself. If you have, I mean, everybody's knows that person at work or whatever that says, you know what, I hate my job, blah, 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 this and that, or has a friend. Talk with them, talk with your friends, talk with your family.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of, like I said, trainings and committees. So let's look at a couple of those. We do have, there's such things that are put on called COMET, which is the Construction Organizing Membership Education and Training. Again, lots of acronyms. LEAP, which is Leadership Education and Training. Now these are both surrounding organizing and working that way. There's what we call a VOC, or Voluntary Organizing Committee. That's when you, for the most, if you have a campaign going on, you have a volunteer organizing committee. Those are the folks that are going out there talking to the workers, door knocking, phone banks, that kind of stuff. Your political action committee, Next Gen, which is the young workers. I think it's under 35, if I'm not mistaken, but if you're under 35, there's Next Gen committees, and we have women's committees as well. You can always talk to your local about being a shop steward within your local union. And like I said before, get to know your local union organizers and offer assistance. I think the biggest thing, like Martin was talking about earlier, is we've got to make sure that we befriend people. Now, if we look, sorry, I have my Constitution here, but if we look at our Constitution, and the third object of the Constitution is to cultivate feelings of friendship among those of our industry. I think that's the biggest part, because if we're going to call people names or think poorly about other people because they are not doing what we're doing, that's fine. It's just a matter of education. But if we start calling people out on it, they're not. Why would you want to be a part of something where especially when somebody mentioned earlier about bullying and stuff like that, why would somebody want to belong to something like that? But I think that is the easiest thing that you can do as a member, is to build those friendships, build those relationships with people, and that's how it all starts. That's basically the fundamentals of what organizing is. So we have a little video here for our finale. If you want to check your volume, because I don't control your volume, but so it might come on a little loud. If it does, I'm sorry, but let's check it out. No, we lost the sound maybe. So I think that's a good way to look at it. Like, we're all stronger when we work together. Sorry, somebody's going back to committees here, and somebody said human rights committees. Oh, and Cheryl, yeah, confirmed that, yeah, Next Gen is 35 and under. So that's basically our presentation here tonight. In the chat, Martin's going to add a Word document that has all of our contact information in, so you don't have to write it down. If you click on that document there, it should allow you to save it to your computer. So yeah, like I said, you have both the district coordinators for the East and West, you have the regional coordinators for the East and West, and as well as the 2 international lead organizers are going to be on there as well. So please, if you have questions, if you have information, if you just want to reach out just to reach out, please do. We're always willing and always enjoy a phone call from somebody. So
thank you so much for joining us and giving up your time.
Thank you guys very much.